Alrighty, folks. Thanks for clicking on the channel. James Cards FC here. I apologize for the what is this called? Bad lighting. My lamp, which is actually sitting right here, burnt out right as I was about to start recording this video. But rather than waste time going to the store and then probably recording this video tomorrow, I'm just going to go ahead and get it out today. So without further ado, we're going to talk about fear of missing out and why I believe this is one of the most important factors, if not the most important factor, in regards to pricing in the soccer card and sports card market in general. And so we'll have a discussion on that today, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about what FOMO is. So FOMO, fear of missing out, is a term that was introduced in 2004 to describe a phenomenon observed on social networking sites. Now, this phenomenon of FOMO, or fear of missing out, includes two processes. So process number one is the perception of missing out on something, and then process number two is the compulsive behavior to join what you're missing out on. So in relation to sports cards, COVID, stimulus money, unemployment checks, and a booming alternative investment economy has been talked about ad nauseum when describing the sports card bubble in 2020 and 2021. However, I don't think we've talked enough about FOMO and the impact it had and continues to have on the market. So in today's video, I want to take a closer look at FOMO and why I believe it might be the most important factor in the prices of sports cards. An example here that I have is this Kylian Mbappe 2017 Chrome Refractor in PSA 10 condition. As you can see from the price chart on the bottom right-hand corner, it's had quite a ride, but now at current time of recording, it is actually at its lowest price over the past 2 years, despite the fact that based on player performance and what you would assume through hype, this should be its most expensive point, considering Mbappe's been playing at a level pretty similar to what he has over the past 2 years, and we're heading into the World Cup where France is one of the favorites, and Mbappe has a chance to become a two-time World Cup champion at just 23 or 24 years old. So yeah, theoretically and narratively and performancely, this should be the most expensive this card has ever been, but it's actually the cheapest it's ever been, and so we're going to talk about some of the reasons why that is the case. So let's talk about what kind of an asset sports cards are. This is important to understand so that we can talk about how different factors relate to the prices of these assets. So very first off, sports cards are not stocks. I know during the lead up to the sports card bubble and all throughout the sports card bubble, people kept comparing them to actual stocks, and that could not be further from the truth. So why are sports cards not stocks? So there's a few reasons. The first one is there's extremely low liquidity in comparison to stocks. You can't just instantly trade them. I mean, you can digitally on ComC and things like that, but not in the sense that you can with a traditional stock, because it's a physical asset and you can't just instantly ship it and things like that. So extremely low liquidity. There are tiny market caps. Any large investment firm could buy the entire sports card market in the blink of an eye without putting a dent in their overall portfolio. There are investment firms that are playing with multiple hundreds of billions to trillions of dollars, and the entire sports card market is probably like $20 to $30 billion, and so that's going to do absolutely nothing to the bottom line, and they could buy the entire thing. So we're dealing with very, very small market caps with very, very low liquidity. And on top of that, sports cards have no utility. They cannot produce more cards like a business can produce more business. Cards cannot produce more cards. And you can't rent cards out like you can with homes or real estate, so they have no utility that way, etc., etc. The only utility they have is through just collecting and existing. There's no reason to own them other than that. So the last point here is they also have no recurring revenue stream or dividends. So like I was saying before about real estate, they can't generate revenue in the form of just being able to rent out your property. There's no dividends because your sports cards do not create business that then creates money. So there's no dividends given out at the end of the year for they are for a stock. So there's no recurring revenue stream, no dividends, low liquidity, no utility, tiny market caps. All these things come together to the reason why sports cards are not like stocks or any sort of traditional investment at all. So from that perspective, sports cards are a very unique asset class. Since sports cards as an asset do not generate revenue through utility, the only way they can increase in price is through perception. Someone needs to perceive the card being sold as more or less valuable than the previous sale. And as I've stated multiple times, what makes the cards go up and down is not player performance, but rather very basic supply and demand principles. I have a whole video that talks about this, so I won't labor on this point too much, but sports car prices come down to very basic supply and demand because there is no recurring revenue stream. There's no anything that goes on with renting out homes or normal business stocks and stuff like that. It's all very, very basic supply and demand. So One of the demand factors that I believe has been extremely overlooked regarding the sports card market is the factor of FOMO, and that's what we'll be discussing in some detail today. So, FOMO in the sports card market. The narrative surrounding sports cards was very strong from late 2019 and going into 2020. The NBA and MLB rookie classes for 2018-19 product were extremely good. Luka and Trey, followed by Zion and Ja in the NBA, were superstars in terms of both the market and the actual sport. And then in baseball, you had Soto and Acuna and Ohtani all in the same class, followed by Tatis Jr. and Vlad Jr. in the next class. And all five of those guys were like superstars in their rookie seasons. So you had a lot of people that really didn't want to miss out on these incredible young players, thinking they could be some of the greatest players of all time. And so people were super hyped on these young prospects because they were performing at ridiculous historic levels. And so you had back-to-back classes from both main sports that had players like that. So that's obviously really good for building in that FOMO. Then you also have Gary Vee producing near the daily sports card content to his massive audience. He even had hour-plus long Q&As teaching people how to navigate the market, and so that brought in a lot of new entrants with a lot of money. You also had Sports Card Investors channel started around the same time, and that helped legitimize the market through his more professional business approach, as well as the pricing tool, which is Market Movers, that is also now Card Ladder, and there's a bunch of other tools like it. But this was a new thing in 2019/2020. These tools didn't really exist before then, especially not in the complex way that they are now, and so that also helped revolutionize the industry and make it more professionalized, and more people were able to get into it and understand pricing. So all that is obviously really good for the market, and all of that really helps build in this FOMO effect that I'm going to talk about here. So this social media influence brought in strong fear of missing out. There were things said like, you don't want to miss out on this. Sports cards is the biggest investment opportunity right now. There's a famous Gary Vee clip where he talks about sports cards being the most obvious, easy way to make money over the next 6-month period. And he was right, but I mean, that's probably a factor of him pumping it as well as him being right on it. So you can give him varying levels of credit for it, but obviously he turned out to be right, and it's probably definitely due to some of his pumping. But in any factor, remember that FOMO is a two-step process. So first we have the perception of missing out, which would be, wow, cards are starting to really take off. This sounds like it could be a good investment. And then two, the compulsive behavior to join, which is then I need to jump in right now before this goes to the moon. A lot of people are getting into this. It seems really cool. I think people forget that flipping cards was super trendy during COVID. Like it was a cool thing to be in cards at the time, and now obviously that doesn't seem to be the case at all now that everything's collapsing. But when everything was going up and up and up, it was actually cool for a period of time to be in sports cards. So let's talk about FOMO and how it relates specifically to the soccer card market. So number one, in this first phase here, I should probably explain what the graph is first. This graph I've shown previously. This is the 2004 Panini Sports Lionel Messi Mega Cracks in PSA 8 condition, and this is its full pricing history up through all the data that we have on it. So we'll start off in this 2016 to 2018 range, which is spot number one. This is where you really only have collectors or super early investor types, although I don't really think there are many of those. These were really just collectors buying this card for a few $100s or maybe even $100 or $200 back then, just because they liked Messi and they liked the card. Then you move into the 2019-2020 phase, where lots of people start getting into sports cards and they say they're great investments, and huge early returns reinforce this perception. So now you have this cycle of more people coming in and thinking that the prices that were paid before them are going to be paid again in the future with bigger and bigger returns, and that's exactly what continues to happen as more and more people and more money get involved in the market. So then you reach phase 3 at the top right here, which is where FOMO reaches its apex and the maximum number of new buyers are in, and they're all convinced by recent returns that they're going to miss out on even higher returns in the future. So everyone that gets in here still thinks that they're going to have returns like there were in here because there's so much FOMO on the market. Everybody has fear of missing out on the next explosion, and that explosion never actually comes because all the money has already been pumped into it. So number 4 is this whole process right here as the card continues to dip back down to its pre-2020 levels. No one is afraid of missing out on crazy returns because those returns are long gone, and this leaves only true collectors or long-term investors looking to buy cards like this. There's not really a reason for somebody that is only looking to make money on sports cards to buy this card right now, because over the past 18 months it's been going down. So if, unlike in here where you can buy in thinking that it's going to continue doing this, you can't do that anymore because now you've seen it come all the way back down and there's no reasonable way for you to think it's just going to spike again. So the people that were buying in here are no longer interested in buying in here because there's no fear of missing out on short returns. So this leaves us with only the long-term investors or longer-term collectors that are buying this card, and that is a much smaller pool of people than the pool of people that just want to buy things to make money. So also, I leave this note down here. These people that are left wanting to buy this card are not affected by FOMO because they can just say to themselves, I'll just get one when it's cheaper. This card is rare, but it's not exceedingly rare where it never comes up. I mean, in fact, you can see this has had 10 to 15 sales just in the past year, and on the auction sites over the next few weeks, there's going to be 4 or 5 more of them that are going to be sold in a short period. So people can now... The people that are left in the market, which is a lot less people than were in previously, can just say to themselves, I'll just get one when it's cheaper because there's no rush to get one because this is not looking like it's going to happen anytime soon. And the people that would have bought in here no longer exist in the market. Less people, more cards coming to market, lowering prices. Everything is on the buyer's side favor right now. And the people that are the buyers right now aren't really affected by FOMO, and they are choosing in some cases to wait and see when it gets cheaper because, again, there's no reason for them to splurge on something like they did or had to in the past. So let's talk about where we stand today, which is a FOMO-less market. So fear of missing out is now all but gone from the market. With the lack of new entrants, new money, huge influencers, and constant buzz, sports card prices continue to dip back to their pre-bubble levels. A strong reason why this is happening is that there's no longer a reason to have FOMO. Outside of all the economic and political issues that are going on that affect the general overall market, a strong reason why this price drop continues is that there's no more FOMO and there's no more reason to have FOMO on the market. So as I explained here, with everything dropping in price, the FOMO process is now broken. In 2020/2021, you had perception of missing out. Wow, cards are starting to really take off. Sounds like a good investment. You had number 2, compulsive behavior to join. This looks cool. I need to jump in right now before this goes to the moon. Now that we're in late 2022, we have perception of missing out, not being there. It's more, oof, sports cards are dropping a lot. Probably should wait and see what happens next. And then 2, compulsive behavior to join. Not many people are talking about sports cards anymore, and they're no longer cool. So there's no really compulsive behavior to join. So the entire FOMO process is broken. And as you can see right here, just based on the simple 1-2 process, FOMO can't really exist in this current market. So it's easy to understand why prices continue to tumble when the majority of new participants on the market came in expecting fast, easy money, and that is no longer the case. So you have this whole pool of people that just got in through FOMO and just wanted to make quick money and be cool. And now that there's no more quick money, it's no longer cool. All those people are now gone. And in the last point here, I say that I don't think it's unrealistic that many cards fully return to their pre-boom pricing, but in soccer specifically, I think the sport has picked up a good number of new actual collectors that will continue participating. For example, I say that 71 BIS won't hit its 2019 level pricing. So if we look back here, I would almost guarantee, and I hate to say that it would get back to this pricing level ever again, where it was a couple $100. But could this keep falling back further? Sure. There's no way to know for sure, but I am almost 100% sure that it will never be this cheap again. But to expect it to be back up here again, I think that's a whole different story for a different day. So, yeah, FOMO is gone. A lot of the people in the market are gone. They're not coming back until prices start exploding again. There's no real way for price to explode, at least as of right now. And so it is a very collectors-driven market, and collectors don't have to FOMO, and they probably aren't looking to FOMO on things that they can wait for. So, let's talk about where we stand today and how FOMO can still hit the market. So while it is rare, FOMO can indeed still hit the market. It cannot hit in the 2020/2021 way where the entire market catches fire, but rather very specific players and very specific cards or stickers. So I'll go through a couple examples of this. Example 1 would be a prospect that goes from unknown to mainstream, and I cannot for the life of me even come close to pronouncing his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. This is the Napoli winger from Georgia that has been playing fantastic this season. So his Panini Russian League stickers were probably worthless going into the season. There were no sales of them, so I imagine they were literally worthless, and now they're worth $100 each, plus in some cases. I think this is the true rookie one, and it's sold for around $200 or $300. This is, I think, like a third-year Russian Panini sticker, so that's more in like the $50, $60 range. I'm not an expert on his market, not interested in his market, but I just know that those are some of the prices that have been paid for those previously. So The example of why this works is that people don't want to miss out on the possible next great young player, so prices can rise quickly as a player becomes more and more mainstream. This is incredibly risky. Of the entire 2021/22 rookie class, I think only Benjamin Sesko, and he's only up a tiny bit, I think, has gone up since product release. Sidney Raybaker has gotten crushed, Gavi's gotten crushed, Jonathan David's gotten pretty crushed, so none of those rookies are really doing anything. 2020 has been a much better class, but literally you could have picked anyone from 2021 and you would have lost on 99% of them. So this is not a common thing that happens. It's incredibly risky, but every now and then there is a prospect that does come out of nowhere and go to the mainstream, and people make insane returns on that if for whatever reason they were buying their cards when they were completely unknown. So the other scenario is a very rare, highly desired, and rarely seen on the market card of a player comes up for auction. The Zlatan Ibrahimovic rookie sticker is an example of one of these cards. Despite the down market in PSA 8 condition, this card has sold for a higher price each time it has hit the auction block, and that goes from 2020 all the way through 2022, with its last sale being September 11th of 2022. So the reason this causes FOMO is because people can say to themselves, this might be my only chance to get this card for a very long time. There's a lot of demand for this player. This card is very rare and very well known, but it doesn't come to market a lot. So for that reason, when it does come to market, people pay pretty big premiums for it. Now, the next time this comes to market, it might drop because the market has dropped a bit since September and there's the whole sticker thing going around. But at least as of what we've seen in the past, each time this sticker came to market, it sold for higher than it did previously. So interesting note there, but these would be two examples of how FOMO still can hit the market. Prospect going from unknown to mainstream, people have a fear of missing out on the next big thing, so they start paying crazy prices for what could be the next big thing, even though they were pennies on the dollar previously. And then also with very rare, highly desired, and rarely seen cards on the market, where people can say to themselves, this might be my only chance to get this card for a very long time, and it's very in demand, and it's a very well-known player. So both of these examples are extremely rare, but they can still happen. So in conclusion, FOMO is one of the strongest catalysts on the market for pricing. It was one of the main factors, in my opinion, that led to the crazy bull run that we saw in 2020/2021, as well as the huge pullback that we've seen over the past 18 months. FOMO can still kick in rare cases, but the rampant FOMO propelled by people outside of the sports card market looking to make quick returns is long gone. And with this in mind, I think it's very unlikely that we see returns like 2020 or 2021 in such a short period of time ever again in the future. And so to talk about this example, I'm going to use the 1989 Topps Traded Tiffany Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card in PSA 10 condition. This is one of his rarest rookies in one of the best conditions and one of the most demand cards for Ken Griffey Jr. So we're going to use this as the example here. This card had a 323% growth over 16 years from 2004 through 2018, and this would be a normal return for a really, really good sports card if you guess the right grading company. Of course, in 2004, Beckett was actually bigger than PSA, and a Beckett card does not have the returns this does because Beckett faded while PSA came up and took the number one spot from them. So you had to guess the right grading company, but if you did, this 323% return over 16 years is something I would consider fairly normal for a super iconic, super obvious, super good card. Then for 2019 through 2021, we have a ridiculous 1,600% growth over a 3-year period, and this obviously is not normal, and it has corrected all the way back down to being around, I believe this is now a 500% return over the past 4 years or 3 years, so it's corrected a lot, but it is still not all the way fully corrected. So yeah, this is not normal. This is much more normal. So when this happens, this is FOMO and a bunch of other factors kicking in. This is more of what we, in my opinion, would expect to see from super obvious, super good cards that are rare and in really good condition that there's a lot of demand for, but also you have to select the right grading company. Right now that looks like it's going to be PSA, but of course everything can change over the next few years, or nothing can change at all. We just have no idea. I have no idea, and pretty much anybody that says they do have an idea has no idea what's going to happen in the future. But yeah, there's the conclusion for today's video. There's the quick example. And with that, I wanted to move into this, which is the 1,000 subscriber Q&A. So I'm not sure exactly how many subscribers we're sitting at right now. I think last time I checked it was around 940 something, but it looks like we're going to hit 1,000 subs within the next couple of weeks. And so to celebrate, I'm going to be doing a full-length Q&A video. I'll be answering questions to the best of my ability through either the comment section here or on my Instagram story. I'll make another post soon to add more questions on my Instagram story. I think I already have around 15 of them that I need to answer, but I'm pretty much going to try and answer every single question I can. So if you have one, feel free to either leave it in the comments or post it on my Instagram story that I'll be adding over the next few days, and I'll go ahead and work on getting those answered for the 1,000 subscriber video. I thank you guys so much for all the support as always. I have no idea where we're going to go from here in regards to what the next goals are for the channel. 1,000 was pretty much a number that I didn't really think I would ever get to, so I don't really have any grand plans for hitting 2,000, 5,000, or 10,000. This is just something I sort of do in my free time because I enjoy it, but 1,000 is a really cool number. And we'll see where we go from here. The show will go on. In what capacity, I have no idea, but I thank you guys for tuning in and staying along for the ride. So, as always, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Watch out for that post on Instagram where I ask for some more questions for the Q&A, and I will see you guys in the next video.